Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 16, Chapter 16, entitled The Rat Took Him. She was in the apartment waiting for him, explaining that Bakugo told her that the little listener had developed a new quirk or something, so she wanted to check in, make sure Midoriya was all right. Anyways, she starts questioning him, question after question. Then the little listener looks at me, like asking for me to explain everything, so I do, and she starts demanding answers that we don't have, like how the quirk works. I tell her that we are waiting for a specialist and that we would have more information within a couple weeks. She is a very brash woman, but I think she truly does care for the little listener. It's just that her personality is a bit too much for him. Though she didn't make any sort of mention to his stuttering this time, so maybe she's trying to not be so brash. I don't know. Anyways, Midoriya did give her recovery girl's number. Hizashi informed his husband of what had happened when he was in the apartment building. Shota gave a slight hum. So you think his quirk is a type of copy quirk? Hizashi questioned. It's the most logical answer. How else would he have two quirks, especially given that one is my quirk? True, Hizashi answered. They fell silent for a few minutes before Shota spoke up. That little test was quite amusing. Hizashi snorted. You just liked having an excuse to spy on the classes. It was very informative. All you did was change your clothes, hairstyle, had colored contacts, and acted a bit differently, and that was enough for you to convince most students that you were someone else. I want to go over with my class different techniques to spot people who disguise themselves. They arrived home, and Hizashi opened the door for his husband. They entered, and Shota plopped down on the couch. Come be my pillow, Shota demanded. Hizashi rolled his eyes fondly and made his way over, sitting down, and Shota curled up on him. Hizashi waited inside of the living room, trying to ignore how Midoriya's mother stared blankly at him, not saying anything. She just stared with her empty, glassy eyes. Frankly, it was unnerving. Midoriya came out of his room, smiling hesitantly. His eyes went to the tie and once more saw it was a crooked mess. Hizashi glanced at the clock, noting that they still had a few minutes. Do you want me to teach you how to tie a tie real quick? He saw the hesitance appear briefly, the boy's eyes going up to meet his own. Finally, the boy gave a nod. Hizashi smiled, glad that the little listener was starting to let him get closer. He walked the boy through the steps and helped him out. The boy made a slightly ruffled tie, but a lot better than his previous attempt. Hizashi handed over a cherry-flavored jelly packet, giving a chuckle. I forgot to give you one yesterday, so here you go. The kid's eyes lit up. Taking the packet happily, they went out of the apartment and down the stairs. As soon as they got to the car, Midoriya paused, becoming more nervous. Where's Aizawa-sensei? He had a meeting to attend earlier, Hizashi answered, wondering if perhaps Midoriya didn't trust him enough to ride in the car with him. He thought it would be fine, but could it be that it was Aizawa's presence that had made the boy comfortable enough for a car ride? Oh. If it makes you feel better, I can call Shota. His meeting should be hopefully done by now, and if not, I'm sure he would be glad for the interruption, Hizashi offered. No, it's fine, Midoriya said, opening the back door and taking a seat. Hizashi took his own seat in the driver's seat. If you were sure. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Midoriya didn't say anything, just sat and buckled up, pulling out the jelly packet and slowly sipping on it as Hizashi drove to the school. Shota sighed in relief as he finally managed to escape Nezu's office. The principal may know a lot, but he could talk for hours on the strangest of things, like breweries. How was Nezu able to relate breweries to a school of all things, and worse, make the connection make an odd sort of sense? He shook his head, making his way towards his classroom. The meeting had of course ran long, and so Aizawa would be making it to the class right as the bell rang. He entered, looking over the students. He nodded in satisfaction as all of them instantly fell silent. As you know, the sports festival will be starting in a few short days. For the past 2 weeks you've been learning new skills and honing how you use your quirks in various situations. During the sports festival you'll be using all these skills in order to fight towards winning. The next 3 afternoons will be spent honing your reflexes. He fell silent, letting the kids do whatever they wanted as he closed his eyes and took a brief nap. The class came to an end, and he went about his day, still unable to teach history as Nezu told him he couldn't teach the normal classes until he was fully healed. Shota at least had gotten the principal to agree to him being able to continue teaching heroics in homeroom. Lunch ended, and he watched as the students trailed in. Eventually the late bell ended, and he narrowed his eyes. Where's Midoriya? Ida and Uraraka, the 2 kids who insisted on hanging by Midoriya's side, shrugged. It was Tokiyami who spoke up. He was following behind us when I heard a strange sound. I looked back, only to see that Midoriya was no longer following us. Shota frowned, but paused when his phone started to beep. He pulled out a pen and paper, writing down the short beeps and dashes, and noting when there was a brief pause between letters, and a longer pause between words. His eyes twitched, annoyed that Nezu couldn't bother to just send a normal text and instead chose to send it in Morse code. "Sensei?" Asui questioned. He translated the message, which read, "Don't worry about Midoriya. I have taken him for his first lesson." He sighed and rolled his eyes. "Midoriya's alive." "So he's fine," Kaminari said. "I didn't say that. I said he was alive. Nezu has kidnapped him. Midoriya may or may not be back before class is over." "Nezu?" Sato mumbled in a confused tone. "The principal," Shota informed them. He supposed confusion was to be expected as he kept them from the orientation. Towards the end of the class, when the students were putting their hero outfits back up, Midoriya came back in, a dazed expression on his face. "Midoriya, you're alive. Are you okay? What did the principal want with you?" Ashido questioned. Midoriya blinked, a flash of fear in his eyes as he shifted backwards. Ashido either didn't notice the discomfort she was causing or was willfully ignoring it as she pressed forward. "Well?" she prompted. "Can't say," he stuttered, looking away from her. "Why not? Come on, tell us what the principal is like." Shota frowned. "If Nezu has said that Midoriya is not allowed to share what they discuss, then you shouldn't pressure him into revealing it." "But Sensei, I want to know what happened," she whined. He stared at her, his are-you-done face covered by the bandages. "It's not your business, and as a hero one should know when pressing for information is okay, and when one should look for other means to get information." The bell rang and the students started leaving the school, and Shota watched as Ashido left, pouting the entire time. "You ready?" Shota asked Midoriya once everyone was gone. The kid nodded and they walked out of the room, heading towards the car, where Hisashi was waiting for them. "Hey, so little listener, you remember you have your meeting with Snipe tomorrow after school, right?" Yes," Midoriya answered. "Do you want one of us to come with you, or do you want to attend the lesson by yourself?" "Aizawa-sensei, if he doesn't mind," Midoriya replied. "I don't mind," Shota told the kid, glad that Midoriya felt he could speak up and ask for him. Hisashi turned the radio on, flipping through the station for a minute. Pausing on some horrible talk show, his husband started to mock the radio show host, something he liked to do when a radio show host was being particularly dumb. After a minute or so of Hisashi ranting, Shota heard giggles and glanced back to see that Midoriya was laughing at Hisashi's mocking of the program. His husband, noting the giggles, started to be even more dramatic. Shota smiled, glad that the kid was happy. His husband was truly amusing when he was mocking people. Eventually they arrived at the apartment, and Hisashi dropped Midoriya off. Izuku woke up with a gasp. He scrambled out of bed, yelping as he landed badly on his leg. He felt sick. He struggled to his feet, grabbing the crutches and closing his mouth, gagging a bit as tears fell from his eyes. He made it to the bathroom and threw up. He hated dreaming about what had happened. He just wanted to forget about it and move on. He didn't see that man anymore. The teacher couldn't hurt him anymore. Izuku was safe now. He didn't feel safe. Izuku wanted Aizawa. He felt safe around the teacher. He knew that the man would protect and help him. Even Mike-sensei has been helping him, trying to make sure that he didn't upset him. Slowly, the nausea faded away, and he flushed the toilet and went to the sink, washing his mouth out. He went to his room and saw that it was 4:30. He huffed, knowing he wouldn't be able to return to sleep, so instead, he got dressed and after a couple hours made breakfast. He cooked enough that he could bring a plate to Mike and Aizawa. About the time he finished cooking, a knock came at the door, and he went and opened it, letting the teacher into the house. "Smells like you had a good breakfast, little listener," Mike said, giving a bright grin and a thumbs up. He nodded and grabbed the 2 plates of food. I have extra," he said as he handed a plate over. The teacher gave a grin, thanking him, but then paused. "You look tired, Midoriya. Is everything all right?" He shrugged. "Nightmare." "Ah, want to talk about it?" Izuku shook his head. "All right." The two walked down the stairs after Izuku locked the door. He looked to the side as Mike took a few minutes to feed Aizawa the food before eating his plate rapidly. Then they were off to school. The day passed by, and soon he was off to lunch. Well, he was before All Might pulled him off to a break room. "How are you doing, young Midoriya?" Good," Izuku answered, giving a slight smile to his mentor. "And your injuries?" "Healing. Recovery Girl said she might be able to heal me before the sports festival." "That's good news, but you shouldn't push yourself too hard. I don't want you to re-injure yourself. Your health is more important than this festival. You told me you wanted to be a hero who saved people, that you don't want fame." I gave you my power because I believe that you can become a hero who uses the power to help others. You aren't like young Bakugo or young Uraraka, who want to be a hero to show that they are the strongest or to get money. You are more like Aizawa-kun, wanting to be an underground hero and help people without having to deal with the attention. It also doesn't matter what sort of showing you make, as Gran Torino has already said that he wanted you to intern with him. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, Izuku murmured. All Might choked, coughing out blood. Almost forgot? How can you forget, my boy? I've had a busy week. Izuku cut off, not knowing how to put everything. Take your time, my boy. Well, I developed another quirk, but it's erasure. All Might's eyes widened. Erasure? Aizawa-sensei thinks it's probably a type of copy quirk. Recovery Girl has a friend coming over who will be able to find out. I see. Well, this is good news then. But be careful, as we don't know how One for All will react with your quirk. Izuku nodded. I will. Good. Now eat up. Lunch won't last too much longer. He smiled and ate the food, enjoying the bento. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 16 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 17 will be up next. Hope you all are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.